Welcome to the Complete Runner Podcast. This is episode 5, and we got a special guest here, Brian Aubuchon. Brian, you've got many tales to tell.
Tall tales.
So
many tall
very,
tales.
very tall.
Wide tales too.
So we'll start off with a little beer, and then we can get into it. May I interest you in I Want a Bach, which is Tenacity's Bach beer, or would you like a little Second Shift IPA by Tenacity?
Bach it up.
Bach it up. All right.
Get too hoppy, things start getting weird.
Oh, it starts getting crazy in here.
Start trying on shoes. Next thing you know, I'll start running. I don't know how much I hate running.
Well, we're going to get into that. Mainly, I got this just because it was called I Want a Bach, and I like a little headbanger.
Cheers to you.
All right, cheers, man.
And
appreciate you. Appreciate you coming in.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so Brian, tell us a little background about you.
Well,
my
favorite color is blue. I enjoy skinny skating. Girls who aren't afraid to cry.
Skinny?
No, there's nothing skinny about that. I can't get up. I've tried. At least on water skis. No, well, okay, so first there was a Big Bang, then the Earth cooled, and then dinosaurs came.
And then Brian showed up.
Then I showed up and just ruined everything. No, we'll go back to the weight loss, because the weight loss kind of started everything. So I was much bigger than I am now, and I'm pretty big now, but I was really big, 350 plus. I think almost 360, something like that. It was crazy.
Top the scale's 360.
Yeah, like the scales just said off. I thought the battery was dead. It's like, no, you need to get off the scale. And at the time, I only had 2 kids. So one of my sons had come downstairs, and he's autistic, Mickey, and he was very upset. He comes to me and he says, you have too much cortisol around your midsection. It's the #1 leading cause of heart disease in men under the age of 40. You're going to die. And starts crying. I said, where did you hear this? He's like, YouTube. I said, well, we'll fix that. Don't worry about that. I got him settled down and went back to bed. And I was looking through some pictures because then he had me thinking. And the bowling alley had just gotten broken into. Holly Lanes. If you'd like to go bowling, come see us. We'll talk about that later.
Check that place out. Great staff.
So I saw a TV interview. And I'm like, who the hell is that guy being interviewed on TV? I'm like, man, the camera adds like 10 pounds, but there must have been like 5 cameras. And the DVR was on, and after an hour it clicks off because it just doesn't hold more than an hour. And that damn Dan Marino, hi Dan, if you're listening, which you may, I'll text you.
I'll forward it to you.
I'll text you. But that commercial for Nutrisystem. And I said, I've tried so many diets, nothing's ever worked. I'll give it a shot. What the hell? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's $300. So it shows up, and in a month I had lost 27 pounds in the first month. Where they called me and they're like, hey, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm eating your food. Like, well, why are you losing so much weight? I'm like, because I'm fat.
Because I'm eating your food.
And your stuff works, so keep sending it. To the point where they called and said, we'd like to bring you to Miami. You've won a contest. We love the story with your son, and we're going to do a before and after, and you're one of the winners. I won $10,000. It was crazy. So we get down there, and we're doing some commercials and stuff, and there's 4 of us from all around the country. And one of the shoots, we got to catch footballs. Like, we're looking at the camera, and the footballs are coming from the side. I'm not the most coordinated guy in the world. So the footballs kept coming to the side, and I kept missing them. I'm like, who the hell's throwing these damn footballs? And everybody starts looking, and I look over, and it's Dan Marino from the Miami Dolphins. And the only thing I could say was, laces out, Marino. It was great. And they thought it was funny. So at the end, they pulled me aside and said, we do TV commercials too, and we'd like you to come out to Las Vegas and shoot a TV commercial with Marie Osmond. She fell in love with me. I had to break it off. It was sad.
It sounds tragic.
Yeah, it was terrible. Marie's great. But I went out to Vegas. So we're doing a TV commercial, and she said, what are you going to do now? You lost all this weight, looking good, feeling good. What are you going to do? I said, I'm going to do an Ironman triathlon. She's like, oh, it's great. No clue what it was, other than a triathlon.
You just kind of
I'm just like, this came out of my mouth, like the poop mouth, like you pull stuff out of your mouth. And so I went home that night to the hotel and Googled Ironman. I'm like, oh, jeez.
Wow, there's a lot.
I'm like,
I
don't know how to run. I don't know how to swim. But I don't have a bike. So the next day on the shoot, I said, that commercial we filmed last night, is that going to be live? She's like, oh yeah, millions of people are going to see that. I'm like, well, now I'm stuck. Now I got to do it.
Now.
They were really cool. They're like, you know what? We'll help you out, and let us know what you need. And so I got home back. I came back to Detroit, and I looked up Ironman. I said, okay, where's the next race? When is it? And the next race was Lake Placid. It was January, so in July. I said, okay, cool. I'll sign up for that.
Oh, plenty of time.
Yeah. And I called my cousin who does triathlon. He's like, you're going to die. You know that, right? You will die. It's one of the hardest places to go do it. I'm like, no, I'll be fine. And I remember going to Genesis and saying, you guys teach adults how to swim? And she goes, yeah. I said, cool. She goes, well, what are your goals? What are you looking to do? I said,
I'm signed up for an Ironman.
I said, well, I'm looking to do about 2.4 miles and preferably under 2 hours and 20 minutes. She goes, when's your Ironman? I said, 6 months from now. She's like, ooh, better get in the pool.
Yeah.
And then that started the crazy journey.
Cool. So, really, it started with your son, Nicky.
Yeah, really, kids say the darndest things, but the idea behind it is I have now 5 kids, 5 beautiful little boys, all under the age of 13. And one, they need me around for a long time, and you got to be healthy to be around.
Yep.
And 2, it's good to set an example. It's pretty tough when they're playing outside and you're sitting on.
I was going to say, how do you keep up with them?
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
You attempt to, but if you're sitting there with a sweatshirt on because you're embarrassed the way you look, and that was me for a long time, and you're watching them play and you can't even get up the stairs because you're gassed. You need something. You need to find, everybody always says you got to find your why. Well, I have 6 whys, my 5 kids and my wife. So because without them, there's no point for me to really do anything. But you got to find that, and then you got to just go after it. And I don't like little things in life. I have a big van.
That thing is
huge
monstrous.
But I don't like little things. Everyone said, well, you could do a sprint triathlon, or you could just do a 5K. And I said, well, anybody could do that.
You went big.
Yeah, I went big. And I just went, I remember after about a week, I said, man, I got to find a coach. I got to find somebody that can help me because I have no idea what I'm doing. And this is going to be a big deal.
And this is actually kind of a cool thing, because we always talk about easing into things. Like if it's, if you're on the couch and you want to go do something, go out and do that first 5K.
Yeah, for sure. Don't go do an Ironman. Don't do an Ironman.
That marathon.
It's cool. You might end up on YouTube a couple times like I did. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Start off small.
But I think the cool part about this is, all right, that aside from it, you had a dream. You had a big goal, and you went after it, and you wouldn't take no for an answer.
Right. Yeah, because you can't. You either, Stewie Griffin said it best. You either can or you can't. And what is it? Whether you tell yourself you can or you tell yourself you can't, you're right. And that's kind of the philosophy I take on it. Is everybody, my brother, everybody's like, you're gonna die. You cannot do this, and that. It pissed me off. I'm like, yeah,
makes you want to do it more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, here's pick a number 1 through 3. I'm going to do it just to spite you. And you don't want to do anything for that reason. Yeah. You can use that as some fuel every once in a while. If you get in a dark spot on a run or a ride, you can use that and be like, I'm not, especially my brother, I'm just going to let him show me, give me a break. He's my younger brother. But you don't want to use that as your motivation, but you can use it for a little fuel every now and then. But you have to find a reason why you want something that big. But for me, a 5K would have been a big thing. Yeah. And a lot of people, hopefully people listening to this, watching this, eating chips on the couch like I did for a long time, that's a big goal. That's a big deal. That's 3 miles. Trust me, go out right now and just walk a mile. It's not the easiest thing to do. You don't have to go after Mount Everest right away. You can. We'll support you. We got a cool place to come hang out. I'm going to prove that you can. But I even suggest that just pick something that you think is hard and then go after it. But you got to go after it with everything. And it's not just the physical part. It's the mental side. It's you got to surround yourself with a supporting cast of characters that can help you get there. And I think that's why I went to that camp,
Yeah.
just to see what it was all about. And I remember vividly being in the room, and these people are going around the room introducing each other, themselves, and I've won this, I've done this, I've done this. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm doing my first triathlon in July. They're like, oh, cool, where's it at? I'm like, oh, Lake Placid. And they're like, and you would think in a group of people like that, very accomplished athletes, they'd be like, dude, you got to slow down. No, they're like, oh, that's
Right
awesome,
on,
man.
yeah.
Let's get after it. I'm like,
You're
you're
crazy.
supposed to tell me no. And then just digging in. You got to dig in and just get after it and do what you got to do to find a finish.
So this camp, let's go back to that, because that kind of leads into, you know, your coaches and some people that have brought you along the way, and really helped you and mentored you. So the camp that you signed up for out of the blue.
Yeah, I just Googled it, and everything I Googled for triathlon brought me to Boulder, Colorado. That is the mecca of all things triathlon.
Yeah.
It's at elevation, and pretty much almost every world champion that's come out of triathlon has either lived there or works out of there or trains there at some point. The Olympic training centers in Sea Spring, I mean, it's the end-all, be-all. You'll see anybody and everybody in triathlon training out there. So I said, okay, let's go to Boulder. And I found a camp and went out to the camp. And I remember the first day, I was sitting having lunch, and one of the girls, I liked her accent. She had an Australian accent. I'm like, oh, yeah, I like your accent. She was talking about maybe having a kid one day and all this other stuff. And we get done with lunch, and I thanked her for her time, whatever. I had no idea who she was. And all the people at the camp were like, you have any idea who that was? I'm like,
You're like, nope.
No clue. They're like, that was Mirinda Carfrey. I'm like, okay, who's that? That's great. Cool. And then, of course, Google, my favorite thing in the world. I go back to the hotel that night. I'm like, holy crap, that's what. I'm like, oh. And then the next morning, we're getting ready to go swimming, and there was somebody swimming in the pool. And my coaches, or future coaches at the time, just the people that run the camp, were like, hey, tell that guy that it's our pool time. He needs to get out of there, and it's our pool. I'm like, yeah, I'll tell that guy. I'm a big Italian. I'll tell that guy to get out of the pool. So I'm like, hey, pal, hey, you know, don't want to be a jerk or nothing, but time's up. I'm like, we got the pool. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. Again, goofy accent. Not a goofy accent, but an accent. Sorry. And he gets out of the pool, and the dude is just ripped. Super nice guy. And his coach, who's a very famous coach, is pissed. He's like, who the hell do you think you are? Blah. I said, listen, I don't know. But I'm told,
doing what I'm told.
I'm told to get out of the pool, so time's up. It was Crowley. Same thing. They're like, oh, you know that. I'm like, no. And the next day, I Googled him. So the next day, I went up to say something. He's like, the pool's all yours, man. I'm really sorry. But it was literally the right place at the right time to get this whole snowball of a thing started, where I met Siri Lindley. She is a 2-time world champion, and she has, I want to say, 5 of her athletes are multi-world champions. Mirinda's got three wins in Kona, I think. Yvonne Van Vlerken has won more than any human being on earth in Europe. She's just a beast. She has 23 sub-9s. Just it's crazy. So, and at the time she was pretty busy.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what, we'll figure something out. And she introduced me to her wife, Rebecca Key, who at one point in her career was the fastest woman alive.
Mm-hmm.
She set the world record in Roth, and then Chrissy Wellington beat it the very next year. But
it's pretty good company.
Yeah, crazy company. I mean, just literally the best of the best, and they're just saying, yeah, and there's all these people, and then there's me. Yeah, so Siri.
About Siri.
What I liked about Siri was that she talked to me as she would talk to Mirinda or anybody else. She didn't see a guy with this crazy dream.
She didn't see some newbie.
Yeah, she didn't just see some guy like, hey, like wouldn't some professional wouldn't give somebody like me the time of day, let alone say, hey, yeah, let's go after this, let's embrace this. And she gets hundreds of requests a year for training, and she turns down some of the best because her philosophy needs to fit her athlete's philosophy, and if it's not a good match,
it doesn't work. Yeah.
For them and for our team and everything else, it's way more than just racing. It's who you become. It's the journey itself, and it's finding yourself as a good human being, and everything else is kind of a bonus. And that's kind of what she liked about me was, here's this guy who has no clue what he's doing, but he's going to go after this monumental, this goal that I have, and let's see what happens. And if you don't make it, you don't make it. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you have the opportunity. You got 2 legs, 2 arms. You got your health. You got everything you need. Go after it. If it works, it works. And if not, okay, not the end of the world. So it was really cool to have. Again, I didn't really know who they were until I got back and Googled them. And Google, we should be getting paid by Google for all these promos. But to go back and know that, okay, so now I've got the support system, and I know these people are going to be helping me out, even if it's remote. And I'd go to Boulder every 6, 8, 10 weeks, something like that, and do a couple days or a week whenever they were having a camp or a group session. And it's wild because you're swimming right next to the best of the best. I remember right before Boulder, I was sharing a lane with Heather Jackson. I just thought her tattoos was cool. Same thing. I'm like, who is this chick? She's got sweet tattoos. But it gives you the opportunity. Everybody has the same, in this community, the triathlon community, everybody has the same goal. And it doesn't matter. It's the most inclusive community I've ever met with anybody. Because no matter how big you are, how small you are, how fast you are, how slow you are, it's you against the clock, and everybody has that same goal to get that finish. Your goal may be 10 hours or 12 hours, or my goal is just to beat the clock.
Get it done.
Yeah, just to finish it up. But everybody, I've never had a negative thing said. A couple comments online were funny, but those are just the trolls. I love the trolls. Cheers to the trolls. But as far as the community goes, it's just this, it's almost a bad thing because they're so embracing and they're so supportive. Nobody ever tells you shouldn't do that. Yeah. Nobody says, "Oh yeah, man, pump the brakes. Let's slow down a little bit."
Suck you in.
Yeah,
and
no,
keep you going.
Good. And the stories and the people you meet. I mean, you go to a race. There's 2,500, 3,000 people, all with the same idea in mind, and the stories and all the people you meet. And
it's kind of like that drunk uncle trying to
for sure,
dumb stuff with a bonfire.
Like, oh yeah, man, don't worry, the gas won't hurt anything. Let me show you how to start that fire better. 6 beers later, no eyebrows, but that fire, he was right. That fire was
got a good
sweet
story though.
That's right.
What else you got with Siri and Rebecca?
Yeah, so they, like I said, and they, for the first race, they had not really gotten too much involved. So I pretty much self-coached. I mean, I had a swim instructor, but I just kind of coached myself. I figured, okay, go get a bike. Yeah. So I went out.
Just get some miles in and you're good.
Everybody told me that Fraser bike, shout out to my boys at Fraser, had really good stuff. So I went down there and they said, what are you looking to do? And I had my heart set on a Cervelo. And they measured me up and said, it's just not a good fit. We don't want to put you in a bike that we need room as you lose weight and adjust. We need room to move you around the bike. I didn't know what a bike fit was, all that stuff. So big learning curve, which is good though, because that's how you learn how to do things. So they set me up with a great bike. And next thing you know, I bought a big old van to take all my kids and my wife and off to Lake Placid. I mean, I had trained pretty hard for 5 months. Give or take. I mean, I had a couple hiccups here or there with work and everything else. Because the thing a lot of people have to remember and realize, and a lot of people listening to this have done it, will be laughing with me, life gets in the way.
Always does.
Always. I mean, between you and me, we own our own companies, and somebody's pulling on some string all the time, and you got a lot going on. But even if you're working 9 to 5, I mean, you got to get up early. That's a big strain on the family life. So you've got to find that happy medium that gets you what you need to do and gets you where you want to go. And you'll know real quick if you put the work in. This is the only sport that you cannot fake. You can't. I've done it. You can't call it in. You have to put the time in and the effort in, and it's a direct result of what you get out of it. So next thing I know, we're in the van and we're driving to Lake Placid, and my good buddies over at CycleFit, they let us use the trailer. And because they do all the my tune-up, because Frazier's so far away.
Yeah.
So they do all the tune-ups, get me on my wheels and everything, and good dudes over there. And Ronnie and the boys take great care of me over there. And so we're in Lake Placid, and it's the craziest scene I've ever seen. I mean, number one, you're in Lake Placid, the Olympics. It's pretty epic. It's I think Mike was telling me it is the first mainland Ironman.
Yeah, the oldest.
Because they had the one in Canada. They obviously Hawaii, and then Canada, and then Placid was the first mainland Ironman. And a lot of climbing. That descent down into Keene is.
Heard it's a beautiful swim, though.
A beautiful swim. Yeah, there's a rope underneath the water that you're supposed to follow, and I didn't follow that. It's just, I'm the type of guy that gets. Yeah, I look like I'm drunk. I look like I'm drinking too much of this, and a lot of people swim right over the top of you. That what's the commercial they did on the internet? The funny commercial with
triathlon training. Is that
one of the? It's for one of the. I think it's for Cliff Bar.
Yeah, I was going to say one of them.
They beat the hell out of them. Yeah, that's pretty much what my.
Yeah, they run in and everyone.
I can tell when the next wave is coming because I get some clean water. I'm like,
and then all of a sudden,
so I didn't get to follow the rope, but yeah, the swim is beautiful. It's a beautiful area. And I got onto the bike and I did the first loop, and I think like 3 hours and 20 minutes. It was great. A guy passed me, yelled at me while I was coming through the special needs area, and it was the guy finishing his second lap. I didn't know it at the time. Andy Potts, actually.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, Andy, who you think you are? Like, these people are cheering for me.
Yeah, go around me. Right. Come on
your left, pal. And that's where disaster struck. The second loop, I started to get flat tires. I had 5 flat tires in a matter of about 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, just kept flatting. And everyone's like, oh, that never happens. I'm like, that happened to me.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, let me explain it to you. Where it ended up being that the outer tires were dry rotted. So every time we put a new tube in, it would just puncture the tube. So we had to wait for tech support to get there. They were great and helped me out. And
which time's ticking.
Oh, time's absolutely ticking, because I felt really good. I'm like, hey, because I think my swim was like an hour 45. So I knew I was good there. And my first loop, I'm like, hey, I'm in great shape. Next thing you know, that truck behind you with the little orange lights on it, and the tech guys were like, you can't let that truck pass you. I said, well, what is that truck? It became my nemesis. It's the sweeper truck. If the truck passes you, they put your bike in the truck and your day is done. I said, well, he's not going to catch me. And there was a very
just ride right in front of
white knuckled ride down into Keene, that second loop. I think I got up to 47 or 48 miles an hour. That is really fast on a bicycle, especially for someone who's never really ridden a bicycle before.
On skinny little tires.
Yeah, and then I flatted again. And it was a slow leak, so I just kept riding, and the whole back course on Placid, the back 13 miles was all uphill coming in. I made it I was 5K away from home, and the truck pulled up. It's like, you're done. So I rode around the truck, and I kept going, and then they pulled up again and cut me off, and they're like, dude, we're so sorry, you're done. So I threw a fit, felt like a child. Got very upset, but figured they're volunteers. They're
doing their job. They have probably one of the worst jobs with the swim cutoff guy and the bike cutoff.
There was a guy in that swim that all he had to do was stand up, and it would have counted. He was done, and he just kept pulling himself up the beach, and everybody was yelling at him. Mike was yelling at him to stand up, and he didn't, and he missed it by like 38 seconds. But what it did was, most people, I think, would have said at that point, okay, I put 6 months into this. I spent a bunch of money, brought all my family out. I think that was the hardest thing for me, is my kids were there.
Yeah.
Because I felt like an utter and complete failure, even though just getting to that point
was amazing.
Just getting to the start line, and having the cojones to do something like that. But to get to that point, now looking back, is a huge accomplishment. But at the time, it did not feel like it. So I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? So I'm sitting back at the hotel, and they take you right to the finish line. And you hear people coming in, and you see people getting their medals, and you're just like, You're like, yeah, good job, bud.
Yeah, let me get my bike out of the back.
Right. Yeah, like, here's my bracelet back. Here you go. My time is up. And that DNF, it's like it burns in
stings.
it burns in the back of your. And like I said, most people at that point would be like, I'm good. I tried this. I want to go to something smaller and really work my way up to it like I should. And that just wasn't me.
But that doesn't.
No, I'm literally laying in bed, and my wife was like, you did really good. You don't worry about my mom and dad. Everyone was like, you gave it a great shot. It was awesome just being here. And I'm literally on my phone in bed looking at the next race, going, okay, where's the next race? Because this doesn't sit well with me. And it was in Mount Tremblant in Quebec, Canada.
Beautiful.
Probably one of the most beautiful places on this earth. I said, okay, I'm doing that. My wife goes, really?
And so this is like after.
This is literally hours after.
as you're sitting there.
I was going to go back down for the midnight finish, but I didn't want to go down there, and I didn't even know if we could get down there. And I wasn't having that. But I'm looking at it going, okay. I told my wife, I said, you guys aren't coming. I said, I'm just going to go up there. I'm going to get this done. So I did. I called the people at Nutrisystem, said, hey, this is what I'm doing. Sent an email to Siri about what happened, and she's like, yeah, great, do it, awesome. So
Nutrisystem has been behind you the entire time on all this.
They
stuff,
were
right?
for quite a while, yeah. And they'd help me out. I could put their logos on and stuff, and they sent me a lot of food and everything because I was still using their food and everything. So they were big time supporters of it. So I'm in Tremblant, and it's just awesome. And it's cool because a lot of the same people for Ironman are the same people there.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, man, I remember you're the flat tire guy. I'm like, again, pick a number 1 through 3.
Okay.
I'm like, I'll see you out there. But it was cool because it felt like family. Like I'm all by myself. I don't know where I'm going. Don't know what I'm doing. But I know what I had to get done. And I remember getting out of the swim like 10 minutes faster. I'm like, cool, that's great. And the bike course there is extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. It is just a monster of a bike course, and it was very hot. But I got off the bike, and I remember being so excited when I handed the people my bike. I'm like, I'm so happy to see you. And I had like 11 minutes to go. I'm like, this is the greatest day. They're like, get out there.
It's good.
And I'm in the tent. I'm having a little snack, and I put my shoes on. I look up, and the guy goes, man, 26.2 more miles to go. I'm like, oh, man.
Now it sinks in.
Now it sinks in. I'm like, oh,
what
my
I got
goodness.
left.
So I tried to run. That didn't happen. And I tried to walk, and that didn't happen.
And that wasn't pretty?
Yeah, but I started walking, and then I would jog and walk and jog and walk and jog, and the hours just kept ticking by. And the people on an Ironman course are just phenomenal. Everybody out there, signs and people, and just, you see everybody in the course because they all pass you.
Oh, yeah.
And then they all lap you, and there's something about when you're going out for your second loop, and it's dark, and you get the little glow-in-the-dark
the necklaces
the
and all that
bands and
stuff.
everything.
Yeah.
But the way people look at you that are coming in from their finish or getting ready to finish, and they know you're going out for another 13 miles, you would think that they'd be like, that guy's crazy. But it's very motivational to see those people because they're like,
they're
hoping
man. They see
oh,
you
yeah, because they're like, man, go get it done.
Yeah.
Go after it. And it gets dark up there real quick, so it's pitch black. And I'm sitting on every gas generator I can sit on for like 30 seconds just to try and rest for a minute. And they're running out of gas. So the lights are going off. I'm like, oh, this is a bad sign. And I remember coming around the corner and up the hill, and I looked at the clock, and it was before midnight. I'm like, oh, my God. And Mike Reilly's going crazy. The crowd's going crazy. I run down the chute. I hear my name. I am an Ironman, all this stuff. And they pulled me right into the medical tent. They're like, yeah, come here. Because I guess my hands were all swollen. And the guy goes, I got bad news for you. I said, what? He goes, you're not an Ironman. I said, what are you talking? I said, that party out there, that's for me. I'm like, I got this medal. They're like, yeah, we're going to need that back. I'm like, what? And because we had started 7 minutes before 7 o'clock in the morning, my official cutoff time was 11:53. And I got in at 11:57.
Oh, my gosh.
I was 4.5 minutes late. I'm like, I mean, I literally didn't know what to say. I remember they took me right to the hospital because I'm like, I'm fine. And they're like, yeah, you're not fine.
Sit down.
They're like, your temperature's 106. your blood pressure's through the roof. You're going to the hospital. Because I made the mistake of like, they're like, what hurts? I'm like, oh, my chest hurts. But it was just sore.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as they heard that,
they're like, oh, okay.
I remember going to the hospital, and the doctor's like, actually, with all the people he had probably 30, 40 athletes. He's like, you're in pretty good shape. And I remember they took everything off me and put it in a bag and tied it up. And that's why I had hospital gone on. So the next morning, they go to bring the clothes back in, and they open the bag. I'm like, oh! I'm like, that's medical waste now. You need to just throw that away.
Yeah.
So I had a hospital gown on. I had bike shorts on still. And then I had the booties that normally cover your shoes. Like if you're going into surgery, that's what I had for shoes. And I called a cab because I'm there all by myself. So I call a cab, and he comes to pick me up, and he goes, you have to roll down the windows, my friend. I'm like, why? He goes, because you stink, my American friend. I'm like, okay.
All right,
and I remember getting back to where transition is, and I'm like, okay, I got to go get my bike and everything. And people are like, because I still had Band-Aids on, and people are like, dude, you're the guy from last night. They're like, that was awesome. I'm like, no, I'm like, I can't walk. I'm like, no, that sucked. They're like, no, that was awesome. But that's kind of what lit the fire. And that's when I sent Siri an email, and I said,
4 minutes is not going to cut it.
No, it's just not going to cut it. I can't let this sit. And she's like, let me, and that's when she's like, we're going to bring you on with Beck. And Beck really took me under her wing and said, okay, and she tried a little bit, not a whole lot. She was great about it. But she's like, maybe we should do a half here, half there. I'm like, no. I'm like that. I mean, we could do one to practice or something. But
that's part of the training plan. That's a workout.
This is the goal. So it starts this 2-year adventure where I go back to Tremblant the next year, and I had 4 flats. And I got cut off at the turnaround way out on the freeway in Concepcion. And I still had time to go in, but they pulled me anyway. And I said, no. I said, the people on this bus, they're not going to make it. I said, I have 15 minutes to get to the next checkpoint. I will get there come hell or high water. And they didn't. And I got a little frustrated with them for that. And I actually got a free entry for the next year because technically they should have let you because I wasn't in bad physical shape. I had mechanical issues.
Yep.
So then I said, okay, well, what's the next one I can do? And it was Boulder. So why not go to Boulder? I trained at Boulder.
I know.
My friends are in Boulder.
Been there.
It's only a mile up in the atmosphere. What's the worst that could happen? What do they call it? They call it mountain desert. That's what they call that. That's what they call that atmosphere up there. Mountain desert. Got off the bike and got cut off with 3 miles to go on the run. And
a 5K left.
Yeah, literally 5K. And I was feeling pretty good, but it gets real dark out there. And for some reason, the Boulder bike path, run path, was open.
Along the river there?
The Boulder Trail was open. So they had people riding their bikes. 3 people crashed into runners. And so I'm thinking to myself, why would you be that one, pardon my French, why would you be that one a-hole? It's like, oh, I know there's a marathon going on today, but I'm going to go ride my bike.
You know what?
I'm just
going to cruise along.
And it just kept going. And even my kids were like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I'm like, I'm doing this for you guys to show you that no matter what, no matter how many times somebody tells you no matter how many times somebody tells you can't do that. And it applies to everything in life, not just triathlon. For me, it was bowling. Nobody told me. Everyone told me that bowling alley will never make it. You'll never make it. I had people say, I'm not even coming there because I know you won't make it.
Yeah.
And it's not even something now where you got to gloat. You just come check it out. You're like, made it pretty good. Banks and right. No matter what you do in life, I won't say you're set up to fail, but it's hard. It's hard to do anything you want to do. You gotta be willing to do it. I know a lot of people that just punch in and punch out and go to work, and that's okay.
No, there's
people like that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Because I've got good friends. They just, they like the routine. They like a paycheck. They like their weekends off. Cool, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just not the kind of guy that can take no. I hate the word no. Don't tell me I can't do that because it's the worst thing in the world. It's like a drug. Be like, oh, you can't do that. Be like, dude, you just screwed up.
Okay, then I'm doing it twice.
Right, you just ruined it.
All right.
All right, so we're in Boulder. and this is where things got interesting because then training ramped up a little bit. I said, okay, I got to do something different. Something's wrong. I'm not running.
Because this is number 3, so
that was by that time it was number 4
or 4. So
Yeah.
you're serious.
Yep. And then
No, not I mean your team serious,
team
but
serious,
I mean
serious.
you know
So
serious.
then we go back to Tremblant. Pisses down rain. It rained, so I was literally afraid to ride in the rain. And of all people, I called back and I said, I can't do this. She's like, shut up. She's like, yes, you can. She's like, it's just water. She's like, you'll be fine. She goes, it'll take you about 3 miles to get used to it, and you'll be fine. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm like, I've been here. I know the hills. It's crazy fast on the downhills. Some of those downhills are 45-plus miles an hour because you're on the freeway. I'm like, can't do it. She's like, you can't? Really? I'm like, all right, fine. I can't do it. I'm just scared.
Okay.
And out of anybody, I was at one of the little cafes trying to decide if I wanted the poutine or not. Because gravy on fries, I don't know.
It sounds delicious.
It was.
Right?
It was amazing. They put cheese curds on it. You can't go wrong with cheese curds on top of gravy on top of fries.
That's my favorite right there.
I'm like, I want some right now. But I started talking to the lady in front of me, and she's like, oh, hey, you doing the race tomorrow? I said, yeah, how about you? She's like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I said, yeah, I'm nervous about the water, about the rain, because I know it's coming. She's like, listen, you got to think about it just like this. She goes, just pretend it's dry. And as you're going down, watch everybody else riding just crazy. And don't do what they're doing, and you'll be fine. I said,
seems simple enough.
Well, she won the race. That was Meredith Kessler. Because I didn't know who she was. And at that night, I'm like, my God, that lady with Google, yeah. I'm like, that lady won the race. And the rain was just too much. It was okay, but I got to... did I get off the bike that year? I got off the bike that year, but I didn't make the half marathon cutoff. I just ran out of time. I was soaked to the bone. It just wasn't the right time. And I'm sitting there in the hotel room going, okay, is it stupid to keep doing this? My why.
This is 4.
This is number
4.
This is number 5.
5.
This is 5. So I'm like, why am I doing this? So I was asking myself why. 5 times. Anybody else would have quit. Yeah, I think even the Ironman people were like, man, what is this?
Like, what?
This guy crazy?
Keeps coming back.
I'm like, what's in his beer? What is he doing? And I even thought to myself, I'm like, why are you doing this? There's nobody cares. You've proven to your kids that you're just a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, you just don't stop.
And is it good enough? I really had a battle with myself. I said, okay, is it good enough? Is this close enough? And the answer was no. It's not. And the problem I have is because
not till you get that medal and you actually get to keep it.
I get that. Yeah, exactly. I just want a medal, man. I just want something. I didn't make the golf team in high school. I wasn't good enough. I got cut from the basketball team. I got to give the speech because I got cut 3 years in a row. So I asked the coach, I'm like, can I at least give the speech? He's like, yeah,
no,
if you want. He's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm not coordinated. Just wasn't good at anything. And I said, so I got to do this. I got to find a way to get it done. And the problem with my schedule is I'm crazy busy from the middle of August to the middle of May. Crazy busy. I mean, you know how it is. Small business. I've got just a couple of employees. It's just crazy. I mean, it's 100 hours a week, period. So there's all of the easy races are in that September to May period. So the only races that fit into the schedule that I can do are Lake Placid, Boulder, and Mount Tremblant, which are in the top 10 hardest rated Ironman courses that there are.
Yeah.
And again, goes back to, well, just do a half. I'm like, man, anybody can do a half, which isn't true either, I found out. But that's what I did. I went and did a half. I went to Muncie, and then I went to Steelhead. And I said, okay, I want to do it just so I can feel what it's like to cross the finish line within the amount of time. Well, Steelhead, I crossed the finish line, but I wasn't in enough time. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, it's only half. I'm like, come on. And then I went to Muncie, and same thing. I thought I had missed the cutoff at the finish because I made it through the chute, and I hadn't stopped my Garmin. So by the time I checked it, I looked at the thing. I'm like, it's not a DNF. I'm the greatest man alive. I felt like Rocky. So I went to Boulder, signed up for Boulder. And even my coach, even Beck at this point, she supported me 100%. I know you're listening to this too, and this is all for you. I know you supported me, but even she was like, bro,
Like, we need to.
Yeah, we need to.
Think
let's come
about
up with
this
a
a
better
little
game
bit.
plan. And I argued with her tooth and nail because even Siri was like, we need to change gears a little bit. Let's not lose focus, but let's switch it. And I'm like, gosh darn it, no. I'm like, I don't. I know you're the coach. I know this is what you're supposed to say, but I'm.
But you're committed.
You no. Yeah,
I mean,
this is going to
this
happen.
point.
And then you fill out those little things on active when you tell your little story. So I'm like, listen, I'm 0 for 5, and this is baloney. Well, they read those things. And some new friends of mine, great, amazing friends, Dave Downey and Melinda Downey, run BCC, which is the media company that does Ironman. They do all the music. So when you're there and you're all pumped up,
it's rocking.
It's awesome. It's Dave, Melinda, and Nick, and all those guys. They're great people. They called me and said, 0 for 5, man. What's up? I said, and I start telling them, so they're like, stop talking. We need to bring you in. So we did some videos, and then that was at the opening ceremony. And that's when Mike Reilly's like, yeah, man, we should name this guy Never Give Up. So they're telling basically this story you're hearing now. And what was great about it, people were laughing. And they weren't laughing at me. They were laughing with me because everything I had gone through, they have gone through.
They can relate.
Flat tires,
No, yeah.
problems, every problem you can think of, everybody's been through one of them.
You just got them like
I just got them all
you did.
in a row. So it was cool because people were then telling me their stories. Like, hey, I did this, and hey, I did this. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. So it gave me a lot of motivation to be like, okay, this is why you're doing it. And Siri told me something great. She said, you haven't finished yet because you haven't learned what you need to learn yet. And that really resonated with me. I'm like, okay. And then at first I'm like, oh, what have I not learned? You swim, you bike, you run. And you got to do it. And I'm not doing it for some reason. And she's like, no. She's like, that's not it. She's like, every time you miss, you haven't gotten everything you need yet. So keep that going.
Because we know, all Ironmans that I've done, it's such a mental battle.
Oh,
and it's not just swimming, cycling, and
No.
running. There's so much more to it that, fitness always is not the answer or the key
Nope.
to it. A lot of it is that mental edge.
I've seen the most fit people in the world crash and burn
Crumble.
early on or late on. After you get
Or that one person who's in really good shape, and then it's their first one, and in the water, as soon as the mass start goes on the swim, they put their hand up, and the game's over.
because
And it's like, you spent so much time and money and all this stuff getting ready, you're in great shape, and you couldn't wait.
Right. Relax just for 1 second.
Oh, it breaks my heart.
It's tragic. Or you see people that just make dumb decisions where they're going too fast and they want to pass on the right or just do something dumb where it costs you all of that time. It's not even so much the race should be a day of celebration.
Yeah.
It should be a culmination of everything you've done, good or bad. You can't complain about that day you missed training or anything like that because it's too late. So it should be something you're celebrating that day, and whether you're doing it for 10 hours or 15 hours or 17 hours.
And change.
And change. Thanks, Brad. But it's a culmination of how tough are you mentally, like you said, mentally.
Yeah.
And that really relates to everything. You can relate that to everything in life you do. How tough are you mentally? Everybody's been kicked. Everybody's been down. I've rolled coins just to eat lunch. I mean, we've all been there. So how tough are you mentally when things go wrong? And things will go wrong. Period. If you think you're going to just go out there and blah, I'm just going to have the greatest race of my life. I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to give you a hug when you're done crying, because you're going to be crying. But it's not going to go that way. Something's going to go wrong in that period of time. And I think Rini said it best. She's like, how much are you willing to suffer? And are you willing to suffer more than the person next to you to win? And I mean, that's the mentality you have to have if you want to win, because those guys are suffering.
Yes.
They
enjoy it.
Yeah, they do. And then we all suffer. It's 17 hours. Trust me, I'm suffering. It's not the same kind of suffering for winning, but it's the same. What is it? Mike Reilly said it in one of the videos. Nobody's journey is harder. It's just different. So everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a reason for being there. And that's one of the really cool things about this. You're on the course with the pros. You're doing the same thing they're doing. It's the only sport that I know of that you do that. I mean, it's the same swim. And it's the same bike, and it's the same run, and the same hills, and the same conditions, and the same amount of time.
Yeah.
How do they do it that fast? No idea. I got a little bit of an idea, but it's just how mentally tough can you be? And I got to Boulder, and it was cool to kind of be in that spotlight a little bit, just to share that with people. They let them know, hey, you're not alone. We're all in this together. And it was 100. The heat index was 107.
Oh yeah, at altitude.
It was absolutely. I mean, you couldn't drink the water fast enough because it would get too warm.
Mm-hmm.
So the aid stations were literally almost running out of liquids, and the ice was melting. And I remember coming down a hill, and I started to black out. I mean, everything got small, and I'm going 45 miles an hour. I'm going, if I crash, I'm probably going to die. Or I'm going to wish I was dead.
Game over.
And I got kids. I got kids, a wife, and there's too much involved to risk that. I mean, you want to finish really bad,
mm-hmm.
but it's as you get a little bit older, you get a little smarter, and you say, okay, well, the risk versus the reward. It's not worth it. Yeah, so it's burning up, going down the hill, and I'm starting to black out. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if you crash, you're done, you're toast. And I have 5 kids and a wife and business and everything else, and it's just the risk versus the reward. So I took a little break, and I decided I could keep going, and then climbing up the next hill on St. Vrain, I blacked out completely and crashed. And at that point, I had to make the decision, a very hard decision, is it worth keep going? And I only had 1 gear on the bike, and I knew I had about 18 to 19 miles to go, but 1 gear in the gear I had with that kind of climbing.
I was going to say, I mean,
at altitude and 107 degrees, I'm going, it's just, and the truck's sitting there, and they're like, we recommend you stop. And I'm going, and I got to keep going. And they're like, the decision's yours. Only you can make it. And
you're like, let's go.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. My mind was saying that, and my body was like, dude, we're not going. And I made one of those dad decisions where I'm like, okay, you know what? As hard as this is just not gonna be the day. And in hindsight, it was the right decision.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got to make those decisions
because you still got a marathon to go.
Yeah, and I knew that even if for some reason I was able to make it, there's no way. I mean, we saw people drop it when they picked us up, because that truck's sitting there with air conditioning. You're going, that truck looks pretty good. They're like, we might have to make some stops. I'm like, I don't care where you go, just don't turn the air off. I'm like, I got enough energy in my body to choke you and steal your truck. I'm from Flint, man. And then the question becomes, all right, so what do you do?
What's next?
Yeah, you're at now you're 0-6. The whole world was watching, and you pooped the bed a little bit. And so what do you do? And there's no pride in saying, just okay, that's enough. And Beck, love her to death. Even I think she was thinking, all right, let's find. You like to bowl? You're pretty good at bowl. Let's go bowl.
Yeah, why don't you stick with that?
But even she was very supportive and said, you champ, you got to do what you think is right. And I said, the only thing I think is right is go and get that hardware. I got to go get that medal. I got to go get that finish. And I told the camera at the end of the day, I said, because I was bleeding all over the place, and I said, let's do it. Let's go. Let's get this done. And next thing you know, Ironman's got me as their athlete of the week, and the never give up kind of going. And it's not a bad pressure, because I don't put pressure on myself.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But next thing I know, I'm in Tremblant, and there's Reilly going, hey, we're going to get it done this time. I'm like, hell yeah, we're going to get it done. I said, if not, we're going to die trying. But people are telling me stories, and they're telling me about their journeys and what brought them there and how many times they finished there. And it's just great. Again, all the camaraderie. And get out of the water in an hour 30, best swim I've ever had. I'm like, okay. I'm like, stars are aligning.
Yeah.
We were an hour late. We were hanging out in the water for an hour because of the fog was so bad. I mean, you couldn't see from us to the camera. I found out later it was 15 minutes to canceling the swim, which would have been devastating because I wouldn't have counted that.
Yeah.
I would have been like, this is not an Ironman. Everyone's like, oh, no, it was. I'd be like, no, it wasn't.
No, I didn't swim.
I can't get a tattoo for that, which I need to get. Get out of the water, get on the bike, have a great first loop. I'm going, okay, time's good, weather's perfect. Everything was aligned. People are seeing me on the road. They're like, hey man, video guy, let's go. Get off the bike with, I think an hour and a half extra. I'm going, this is great. I can actually run a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm doing I'm executing the plan that Rebecca and I had put into place, to me, flawlessly. I was having my perfect race. Everyone has a perfect race where
for sure.
Something's going to go wrong, but for the most part, everything is firing. You're just, everything you wanted to do, you're doing. It may not look pretty, but I was doing it at the way I wanted to do it. And then coming in through special needs, I knew if I got in by dark, that I was in really good shape, and the sun was going down. I'm going, man, this is sweet. And then the thing that a lot of us age groupers worry about are the cutoffs. I mean, they are like death waiting for you, and it's waiting no matter what. Cutoff and taxes. Those are the two things.
Yeah. It's coming.
It's coming no matter what. No matter what, you gotta hammer on those things, and because they're there no matter what. And I remember vividly coming up against the last cutoff, and I looked at my watch, and I had like 45 minutes before that cutoff time. I'm like, I've never had this cushion.
Like, I got it.
And my friends from Colorado, Dave and Melinda and them, were on the radio with the security people and the volunteers, and they're like, hey, your friends from Colorado want to say something. They're yelling in the microphone. I'm like, I better keep running. And then I remember coming into town, I looked at my watch. I said, okay, there's an hour left to go. I have 3 miles to go. That's a 20-minute pace. I got this. As long as I don't stop, I got it. And one of Siri's big things, she always tells me, she's like, you feel what you want to feel. And I said, well, you can feel like crap, and you're going to feel like crap.
Feel like crap?
Or you can feel great, and you're going to feel great. Now, I've been doing cardio for 16 and a half hours. I don't feel great. There's nothing about me that feels great, except mentally. And we talked about that earlier. Mentally is where you're at now. You're past physical. Your body shut down 3 or 4 hours ago. So are you mentally tough enough to do what you got to do to get yourself to the finish line in life or wherever else? And I remember her saying, you got to have quick feet and little feet. So I was like a little tiny, like my kid, and I was going nowhere, but it felt good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel good. And then I said to myself, I said, if you want to be epic, you want to be on these videos and do cool things, do podcasts with Brad.
There you go.
You got to do epic things to be epic. And I said, this will be about as epic as it gets. So get your butt down. I was just talking to myself, and 3 miles turned into 2 miles, turned into 1 mile. And I remember coming up the hill, and I looked at my watch, and I said, okay, I got 9 minutes. And the cop goes, yeah, you got 9 minutes to go, hurry up. And we get up the hill, and then I see the chute, and I see there's thousands of people there. And the tradition is you come back, and everybody had come back because it was just.
So you got all the finishers that came back. You got
everybody's
the
there. There's lights and cameras, and camera guys are following me. Nick, my buddy Nick, was following me with the camera, and he literally, I remember him saying, he's like, dude, you ready? I'm like, I made it, didn't I? He goes, yeah, man, you made it. Let's go. Nick. And we came running down, and as I'm running down the chute, I'm going, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to roll around?
What's your move? What do you do?
I'm going to take Mike and throw him into the crowd. And what I told myself, I said, make sure you go across the line. Don't be
oh my gosh,
don't be dawdling, and then turn around. I feel really bad, and I still, to this day, I don't remember her name, but she's super famous. She's done more Ironmans than any woman on the planet, and she was in front of Mike. And she gave me a high five, and I'm just like, okay, who is this lady? Why is she in the chute? And she's Julie Nibbins? I don't know. She's super famous. I'm sorry. She's super, super famous. She's done more Ironman than any woman on the planet. So go across the line, turn around, I look at Mike, and Mike's like, so he calls me, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to say it again. I'm like, oh, he never says it again. And I'm screaming and yelling, and we're high-fiving. That picture is epic because it was everywhere. But it's that goes to show anybody that, hey, if you put your mind to it, you can, period. You can do it no matter what anybody tells you, no matter how many times you fail, as long as you get up. I always say, if you fall down, fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Some famous guy said that. I didn't make that up.
You stole it,
I steal everything.
But it's good.
It's good. It works because that's what it is. And everybody's there, and Cody Beals, who had won the race, and I told Cody, I said, you were off the bike, or I was coming off the bike when you won. He was like, yeah, but you were doing this for 17 hours. I said 16 hours and 53 minutes.
Yeah, let's
laugh. Yeah, but he goes, man, that's epic right there. He goes, because think about it. He goes, you did that for 17 hours. You never stopped, not once, because I went as hard as I could to win. in 8 hours and whatever. And he goes, and you went as hard as you could to win because that was a win for you. And I'm like, mind blown at 17 hours later. But again, you're racing against you and whatever your awesome is. So if your awesome is 10 hours, then go get 10 hours. And if you get it in 11, guess what? You're still awesome.
No, it's your own awesome.
Go get 15 hours. That's your awesome. Go get it. 17 hours. Don't do 17 to 1. It's not awesome.
It won't count.
It will
you
not
have to
be
give
awesome.
your medal back.
Yeah, you got to give it back or they'll take it. And it just, again, it goes down to what motivates you, what's your why, and why are you doing what you do. And now it's one of those things where it leads you into so many other things that you can do. And you want to give back. You want to give back to the community. Many, many people have reached out to me from the videos and emails saying, hey, you know what? I did this because of you. And I'm going, oh my God, it's the most humbling thing in the world that it doesn't take away from what I did, but it's like, hey, I didn't do this just for me at this point. I did this for every person that was out there that couldn't do something.
Yeah.
And then you get back into the community and you want to do things for your community. You want to hype up places like good old Brad's place because he was there when I wasn't doing things. And I said, hey, just a couple weeks ago, my dog ate my shoes. And I literally came in here like, dude, my dog ate my shoes. And he's like, oh, yeah? I'm like, yeah, actually, it happened.
You know, it happened.
But it's the cool thing is you have this, again, this huge support group, a huge community that, and I don't get out enough in the community with all the people that ride in the clubs and stuff. Joel runs the riding club, and he's my neighbor.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm nervous to suck while they're doing better or whatever it is, but I'll get out there one day. But it's such a great group of people, nobody cares. From the very first time you do it to if you want to do an Ironman or anything else. And there's so many events and everything going on. Like we got First Try coming up.
Yeah, First Try.
First Try's awesome.
That's where you and I actually met. Was First Try Committee.
Yep.
Which First Try is going to be on June 15th. That is a fantastic
sign up. There's lots of spots open right now.
Yeah,
sign
come
up.
on, do it.
Last minute people, I know you're out there.
But that is a cool starter.
It's a very cool event for anybody
afraid of
the water.
Swim.
Yep. And it's okay to be afraid of the swim. I didn't know how to swim. They poked me at Genesis. They poked me with the things to see if I was alive because I was learning how to float before I couldn't swim across the pool. Not 25 yards. Yeah. And now I'll do a 3,000 or 4,000 yard set. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool.
You didn't Ironman swim in an hour 30.
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on.
Whatever you want to do with it. But yeah, First Try is great because it gives you that taste. And trust me when I tell you this, it's addictive. And it's one of the greatest drugs you can get into because it's gonna keep you healthy.
And it's as you were talking about before, it's that community. It's like everyone is out there to support each other.
Yep.
You might be competing against other people, but everyone is there for each other. So First Try is getting out of the water and thinking that you just conquered Everest by just getting out of the water.
And you'll see people with their wetsuits on, and that's awesome. What is it, 300 yards?
300 yards.
Yeah. You got your wetsuit on. But that's the coolest thing about it is the guy that wants to do this whole thing in under an hour to the person where it's going to take him 2 hours. So what? It's like Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last. But let me tell you something. Being last has its perks. It's a cool thing to be last because you're not last. You're you, and you're doing it in your time under your pretenses. And I've been on both sides. I've raced it. I've been a volunteer for it. If I wasn't doing some crazy things this year, I'd be volunteering again. And that's the cool thing is once you race, go volunteer. Go do something because it's so much fun to watch people, especially after you've done it, to watch people as excited as you were.
I remember I actually volunteered at Ironman, Wisconsin before I actually signed up for the race.
Well, see, that's cool.
And it was the coolest experience.
It's probably what got you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was like,
I want to do this.
I got to do this.
Right.
Like this, I'm all in.
Because if you go to, I remember my brother did a relay with me in Steelhead one year, and he didn't really get it. I mean, he heard me talking about it and hyping it up, but when he got there and saw the people and saw the setup and everything, and I told him, I'm like, this is just half. See it full. It's great. I mean, we are psychos. You get people like Christina. You're crazy, Christina. But people like that are motivators because they do these crazy things where you just don't think it's possible. And then you see your neighbor doing it. You're like, okay, cool. Like 2 years ago, if you would have told me next weekend I'm going to San Francisco to compete in, I love the word compete. I'm competing.
I'm competing.
I'm participating. No, I'm competing. I'm pulling Ricky Bobby. But I'm competing in Escape from Alcatraz. You take a barge out to Alcatraz Island and you jump into San Francisco Bay and you swim back to shore.
I think there's sharks in that water.
There are sharks in the water. Yeah. According to their website, the sharks don't like the brackish water, which I had to Google because I didn't know what that was either. The brackish water is not quite salty enough, but saltier than normal. But the sharks don't like brackish water, so they hang out in the bay a little more. I'm more worried like a pod of whales will think that I'm one of their children and try and bring me back to shore. And that's the thing. You don't have to be. I am not a skinny Ironman. I'm still a big dude. But that's the thing is you don't have to be an elite athlete to do this.
I know at all the races I've done, when you see people come across the finish line, it's all ages, it's all shapes, it's everything.
Colors, it doesn't matter.
Oh
and that's
gosh.
The greatest thing is, especially with this sport, it doesn't matter. Like who's the wrestler, The Rock. It doesn't matter what, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter where you. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what job you have. I've met guys who are garbage men. I met one guy who was a mortuary guy. I mean, every single walk of life participates in this thing. It's like a rainbow of people.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And they're all great because they all have the same goal in mind. They just want to finish, and they want you to finish. I don't look good in 4K HD and spandex. I don't. Especially in slow-mo when it's like, hey, dude, can you back up just a little bit? But again,
is that Nick with the tight shots?
Yeah, oh, it is. Thanks, Nick. I know you're listening. But it doesn't, and again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whoever you are, it's blind. The sport is blind. It matters. Okay, how much time do I have? Is it a half where I have 8.5 hours? 8.5 hours? And a half? Hoping it is.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Well, 17 for a full. So
yeah, I know. I mean, it makes sense, right?
We don't do half. We don't know.
I don't know.
But it doesn't matter what you and then once you do accomplish that and you get to go do other things, then the whole world opens up. I mean, I'm going to Alcatraz. And I have a distinct, cool. Yeah, it should be great. I mean, I'm planning on being dead last. I'm a featured athlete, which is crazy. Hey. They called me up. They're like, hey, we need a fat guy. What are you doing? I'm like, no, come on. I'm like, I know you need one. It's cool. But we can't use the F word. But it's cool because they feature, there's going to be a bunch of pros there. I don't know. I haven't seen the list, but I know there's a ton of pros there because it's a bucket list event for a lot of people. But there's guys like me. So again, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get it done. However, I need to get it done. But hopefully that video shows people, hey, man, that guy did it in 2 hours. That guy did it. I get 5.5. So I'm thinking 5:15, 5:20.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe sub 5. But then you just keep getting to do cool things, and hopefully that snowballs. Oh, the cool stuff that happens once you become an Ironman or whatever.
Once you become an Ironman.
Once you're an Ironman, you can do anything. But again, giving back to the community and doing things with your friends and just knowing that anything now, the way I look at it, anything I want to do now, I can do. I mean, if you can do that, you can do anything that you want to. And it's just, again, it's the mentality of saying, hey, I want to go out and make $1 million. Okay, well, how are you going to do it? You're not just going to open up a store and be like, hey, I'm a millionaire.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You're going to put in the effort. And triathlon, to me, relates to business. You got to put the effort in, or your marriage. You got to put the effort in if you want to have a good marriage. Marriage isn't easy. It's hard. I've been married for 15 years. Most people I know, all the people that I got married with at the same time, they're all divorced because it's tough. It's not the easiest thing in the world. You're not going to like your partner every single day, but it's the sum of your body of work. And that's another thing Siri and Beck preach on, and it's great. It's who you become and your journey to wherever you want to go, whether it's in business, your personal life, in Ironman, in triathlon, in sprints, whatever you want to do, in a marathon, duathlon, whatever. It's how did you get there and who did you become getting there? And then you can really take a look back, especially now if you reflect on a race you did and look at it and go, man, that was the coolest thing ever. Like I was saying, I've always wanted to be narrated by a deep voice guy.
No.
And that was like quietly, and it's okay to have that kind of goal, but it became a reality. And now sometimes when I get down or I had a bad week at work and I'm not making any money, I turn on the documentary, and at the end it's like, you will forever be an Ironman. I'm like, oh my God, I got so I'm going. But it's huge because it's that, you bring yourself back to that moment and go, man, I did that.
Yeah.
Against all odds. I mean, a guy that weighs 300 pounds shouldn't be able to do that. And I did it. So now you say, okay, what's your excuse? What do you got going on now that that stops you from doing it? The only thing that stops you is it's 9 inches. What is it? 9 inches between your head, between your ears, whatever it is. You tell yourself you can't, you won't, period. And if you tell yourself you can, you'll find a way. And if you don't, then you've sold yourself on an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. And at the end of the day, you got to take a cold, hard look in the mirror and say, okay, what's my truth? Am I not doing this because I'm too big or I'm overweight or I can't run fast? No, those are all excuses. I've used all of those excuses because I don't run fast. I am too big. But guess what? You got it done. I absolutely got it done. I get the chance of a lifetime to go on Brad Stomping Grounds over in Roth, Germany next month. I'm going to Roth, which is one of the biggest triathlons in the whole world.
Such a cool atmosphere.
I've been picking his brain a little bit on it. I can't wait to go see what that's all about.
And I think it's amazing that along the way, you put yourself in these situations and you've got to meet some absolutely amazing people.
Oh, yeah, I've been tremendously lucky to meet the minds that I've met. And it's funny because the very top echelons of people are no different than everybody else. I mean, I'm going to shamelessly plug Mike Reilly. That's a good segue.
There you go, Mike.
Right here,
Said
Mike.
we do it. There you go.
Better give us a like. Mike Reilly, who is the voice of Ironman. If you don't know who Mike Reilly is and you're watching this, turn it off. You're done. You don't get to watch it.
Google it.
Google it. Yeah, Google it. Google it. I'm wanting a t-shirt if nothing else. But Mike wrote an amazing book. Everybody knows Mike's the voice of Ironman. And he wrote this amazing book, and he's on a little signing tour right now when he's not calling Ironmans. But he kind of put into words what he calls so many people in. And he
sees the most amazing stories, yourself.
Yeah, the most incredible things that, people with no legs and no arms and people that are blind and people that are pushing wheelchairs and all those people. And he even said it himself. I think he's only met 2 people that weren't nice. And he wouldn't give names. I tried to buy him a beer, but he wouldn't give names. But out of the hundreds of thousands of people that he's called across, they've all had the same end game. It's who did I become and how did I go from where I was to where I'm at? Because some of these people should not, even me, I should not have been able to cross the line, but I found a way. And now I just want to get a little faster and do it a little bit better. And he's got, just stories and stories. Go buy the book. It's on Amazon.
Go buy the book.
Amazon.com.
Well,
he'll sign
it. We should have had someone maybe different here on the
No, I'm not that cool. But I got he signed it for me. And his wife, I met his wife because his wife said that the only reason why I finished in Tremblant is she said I was going to because she was there.
See.
But it's a very cool book, and it tells a ton of stories about not only finishers, but his journey and what he's seen and all the amazing things. The guy, I can listen to the guy talk forever because it's a collection of the impossible being possible. Ironman says anything's possible.
Yeah.
It is. It's the truth, and it goes without saying throughout life. You can do anything you want. You can do anything you want as long as you have a reason to do it. And if you don't, okay, cool. If you want to do the 9 to 5, do it. But hey, you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's your why. Why? Because I don't want to work on the weekends and I want to drink with my friends. Cool. Guess what? Nothing wrong with that. And if you want more and you want to go see the world a little bit and go do crazy things in Germany and make it on YouTube and do everything else, you can do that too. And everything in between. But you get the opportunity to really prove to yourself what you're capable of doing.
I know, my journey through Ironman and triathlon and all that stuff, I've gotten to meet so many people, and
your friend. You got some pretty exclusive friends too. And those mustache, by the way,
and those people lead on to other people,
right?
And all of a sudden, you have this amazing community of
absolutely,
people like yourself, or someone who came in and did, their first triathlon and they just can't stop talking about it. Or, some of the pro athletes that are out there. My buddy Nick Saunders, give you a little plug there, man. Or Andy Brodziak, TPS coaching. They do a fantastic job.
Yep.
Nick was a pro athlete before, and now now he's helping other people and getting hooked up with people like that who introduced me to like Tim.
Yeah,
mustache,
the stash. We got to work on that a little bit. A little
hashtag train hard, race easy. But just amazing people that are.
Well, look at his story.
Oh my God!
He should have been dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that story. I watched the video at one of the races. I don't even remember watching that. I'm thinking to myself, oh my good God, he chose to have. If you don't know this story, you should look this story up. But he chose to have a halo, which is extremely, from what I'm told, is extremely painful.
Go check out on YouTube. On did a documentary on Man with the Halo, and it's incredible. I actually kind of tear up a little bit every time I watch that story because it's amazing what Tim went through and the path he chose and
what he was able to accomplish, and then come back and do what he was able to do. So if you think you have an excuse that's strong enough, shut up. Yeah. That's all I can say. Is just shut up, because we're not buying it. No. You can't punch that. You can't punch that ticket here, because I go back to, I use a lot of my kids as my very powerful motivation. My second son is autistic, and he kind of started the whole. We talked about him earlier. And my third son suffered a traumatic brain injury. It should have killed him. He was hit in the head with a bowling ball. Complete accident. Out of nowhere. My second son was actually going to show him something. Or he came up to show my second son something and got hit in the head. It fractured his skull and it almost killed him. I mean, it was touch and go for a long time. And to watch them overcome that and persevere through that and come out the other side like nothing. And even my son with autism, I think about, he has to battle every single day against everything that's going on in his brain, and he doesn't get a chance to give up. He doesn't give a chance to quit. He can't quit at life, even when it's super hard and super frustrating. So I draw on that a lot. Like, okay, hey, Nick can't quit. So how dare you stop moving your feet unless you physically can't do it anymore? How dare you stop when you have use of everything? And then watching Tim do that. Anybody could have just laid down and just died, or just said, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. And not a single person would have said, oh, hey, man, you need to get back out there. You need to just live your life and take care of you. And he said, no, I'm not doing that. No. I'm getting back out there. Yeah. And he came back with the vengeance. And I mean, but you hear stories like that. Who's the guy? I met the guy, and he's with his son in a wheelchair.
Oh, Hoyt?
Yeah, Hoyt. Yeah. Rick and Dick Hoyt. Incredible. They told Dick that his son should literally put him in a hospital, forget about him. He'll never be anything. And he went home and said, I'm not doing that. And they wanted to do a 5K, so they did it. And then they ended up running marathon. They've run Boston. They've done everything. I saw him at a speech one time at a convention I went to, and I'm going, he signed a book for me. Crazy. But that's everybody's story. Yeah. Everybody's got their own story, and when you race in Ironman, you got 2,500 stories.
Oh, for sure. I remember actually one of my most memorable stories from a race is Ironman Wales. And I went out there kind of like you. I went out there on my own. Didn't know a person out there. I had met some really cool people along the way. But I was out on, and Ironman Wales is just a brutal course. And I was suffering on the run. And, kind of reduced down to a walk, if you even want to call it that. And I had on a, from my first Ironman that I did, Ironman Wisconsin, I had on a cow print race kit.
Right on.
And so, for some reason, Louis Alvarez and Dave Orlowski. Dave Orlowski is he placed third in the original Ironman.
He's the man.
And those guys were at a lot of races, and they were there, and they were walking with each other. And all of a sudden, they started to moo at me. And every time, because it's a loop, every time we'd pass each other, they'd moo, and it got to be like this fun little thing. And those guys got me through like that race.
Yep, and that's
so
like,
awesome. That's like one of the things you remember. And I saw Louis actually at Cozumel, and I was like, hey man, I don't know if you remember me, but Ironman Wales, we were mooing, and you got me through that. And he was struggling that day in Cozumel, and he's like, man, yeah, I do remember.
Yeah.
Great time. And he's like, go finish strong. And it's just that like.
And that's the thing.
That spirit is
and
amazing.
those guys, even the very best, have terrible days.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Jan Frodeno just crush it on a swim and a bike, and then 2 miles into, what was it, last year?
Yeah.
2 miles into the marathon, he was done. I mean, he walked it in. Well, Lionel in Mount Tremblant. Lionel should have won. Lionel's the man. He should have won that race hands down, and he blew up on the run because the nutrition wasn't quite dialed in, and he was getting ready for Kona. And that was one of the reasons he was doing it. And he walked it in too. I mean, he was suffering. So everybody has a bad day. Like I said, something's going to go wrong, even for the very best. And it kind of reminds you that it's the same course.
It's
Everything's
the same course.
And you make a mistake or you mentally forget something, and it's going to get you.
Yeah.
And it's the question of, can you get it back? And how tough can you be? And how much gumption do you have to go out and get it? And the thing is, don't. So if it wasn't your day, it wasn't your day. We've all had them, and we'll continue to have them. And Roth is 15 hours, not 17 hours. That's a big step for me, but that's the goal.
It's a fast course. You'll be fine.
It is what it is, but it's going to be 250,000 people, and it's probably some beer and just a good time. And that's really what it's all about. Is, are you having fun with it? Why are you doing it? Are you having a good time with it? And what's motivating you to do it? And just go get it. Go have fun.
Go get it.
Go get it. Then go play golf.
Okay, so one thing we do is called Big Three. Just 3 questions. One is going to be your favorite race. They're
all my favorite.
A few of them, but probably the one you got your medal at.
Yeah, Mount Tremblant is without a doubt my favorite race. Just because of the people, the atmosphere, and the place of the earth that it's on. It's literally one of the most beautiful places on earth. It's a ski resort in the wintertime, and it's just the coolest place in the world. So right now, as it stands today, Mount Tremblant.
Right on. Number 2 is going to be most memorable race experience. Now, this can be good or bad. It could be a good story, which you've already shared some, or it could be a funny story.
Let's see, most memorable. Probably my first finish across the finish line, which wasn't a finish, because I had just come off of Lake Placid and having a difficult time there and wanting to get back after it. And just that, no matter what the clock said, just knowing that I was able to cross that finish line and do what I set out to do in only my second attempt, even if it didn't count. But it did. I mean,
count.
To me, it did. To me,
you crossed the
I
line.
crossed the line.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, to accomplish that with not as much experience as other people should have had or could have had or did have, was really cool. So, and it kind of set the foundation of my journey and where I wanted to go. So that'd probably be the most memorable. The second runner-up, though, there was a guy in Boulder last year dressed up as a pimp at the very top of a very hard climb, and he full pimp gear in his chalice, and he had a great song playing on his Jeep, and he has a sign that said, "My hoes ride harder than you." So no offense to the Me Too movement or anything like that, and we're not making fun of anybody, but it was great to see it because it actually made the video.
Yeah.
So that's if I did have a runner-up.
Third one is going to be coolest thing you ever got from a race.
Coolest thing I ever got from a race.
Any cool, medal?
See, I didn't get any medals because I never
shirt,
finished
bag,
them.
any kind of swag.
What I get? Oh, you know what the coolest thing I got is I got Mike Reilly's towel. That was the coolest
there you
thing
go.
ever. He dropped it, so Mike, you probably don't even know if I have it because you got out of there pretty quick. It was a long day. But the one he spins around and everything, I don't know if he threw it over my shoulder or what, but when Cody put the medal on
It sounds
me,
like you stole it.
yeah, I think I did. I think I did. Sorry, Mike, I owe you one.
Just saying.
I'll go on Amazon. I'll buy another book. But yeah, he. I think what happened is when he was whipping around, it kind of went onto my shoulder, and then Cody put the medal on me and just stood there. Because as we were coming back up, that was a crappy thing. At the end of the race, you finish at the bottom of the ski hill. My hotel was at the top.
Of course.
I'm like, oh, that was bad. So Nick, thanks for sherpering all that stuff up for me. But yeah, probably Mike Reilly's towel. That was the coolest thing.
That's a cool one.
It's in the back of the book, I think, at page 3. No, I don't know. It's probably in a bucket somewhere, but that was probably the coolest thing.
Awesome, cool. Real quick, let's kind of loop back. Just want to talk really quickly about Team Nikki.
Oh, sure. Okay.
It's very close to you. It's a great cause. So just tell us a little bit about what's going on.
All the things I do, I own Holly Lanes, so I'm busy. So anybody that has the excuse of, I work too much, come see me. I work too much too. But I also do other things, and that's one thing you'll learn when you do triathlon is you get involved with other things. Team Nikki, named after my son Dominic, who has autism, is a very important thing to me. We had an opportunity a couple years ago to work with a local group to do something special for kids with autism, and I made a donation, and they didn't use the money for what they were supposed to do, and it really got to me because that's what it was for. So I decided to start a 501c3 charitable nonprofit, so that type of thing couldn't happen again. So what we do now is we raise funds for local communities and abroad. But what we'd like to do is we have a big fundraiser every year, and we have everybody. It's basically a party. You were there. We have a great time, and we give back to the community. It's dollar in, dollar out. So everything you give, all our volunteers do everything for free, so there's no cost. The bowling alley eats the cost for everything, but we have just a really good community where we can give back. So 2 years ago, we bought some service dogs for families that just can't afford it. And there are not a lot of resources in the government for this particular illness. It's not there. So we wanted to give somebody we wanted to be a volunteer. We wanted to be that person that reaches out and says, yeah, hey, it's okay. We'll help you out. And this year, Siri and Beck, we helped them. They rescued 6 horses from slaughter, rehabilitated them, and then they're donated out to autism resource centers where they do riding therapy. So that was really cool to do. Snuggle Stacks, local, our great friends from the Snuggle Stacks, for homeless awareness, and we help them out. And the idea there is because there's autistic people on the spectrum that are homeless. So hopefully some of those funds will help at least educate people on stuff like that. So it's near and dear to my heart. We're going to do the longest day since we're all about endurance. We're going to do the longest day in sports. I think next year we're going to do, you play golf in the morning, and then you have breakfast and lunch, and then you go back to the bowling alley for a tournament in the evening for dinner and cocktails. I think it's going to be who's standing at the end and stuff like that. But it's definitely a cool thing. So if you need support or have anybody on the spectrum, or you need more information, it's teamnikki.org.
We'll post the link down here. Yeah,
that'll give you an idea of who we are and what we do, and if we can help you in any way, or you have programs that you want to team up with. We're all about just giving back to the community. Our goal is to have $0 left at the end of the year. That means we did everything right. We did that this year, so that's good.
That's
we
cool.
made a bunch of money and gave it all away, so we'll do that again the year in and year out, and we'll get after it.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much, Ryan. I
cheers
appreciate
to Complete Run and everything else. Check out the kit coming up. We have a very sweet kit. I hope that I have it for Alcatraz. If not, we'll have it for Roth. But we're going to be
we'll be posting some pictures.
We'll be repping the brand for sure. It'll be across the globe.
Yeah. And, thanks, brother. I appreciate you coming.
I appreciate you. And tune in as always to all of these podcasts because they rock.
Thanks.
Sweet.
rolling.
Do it.
I kind of like that Bach.
Try.
I want a Bach.
Damn. T. Snyder says, go for it. Underground or something.
That's what flew across the room this morning.
Road ID?
Yeah. Look at that.
Whoa.
The pin busted out of there.
Don't run too hard, man.
Holy moly. No.
You
It
ran
was,
right out of
it
it.
was actually when I was putting on my clothes this morning.
We get
Like
caught
I put
out.
something on her and I heard this ching 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 and I was like, what the hell was that? I didn't even see what it was. No, I know.
Now you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That,
Yeah. That won't do it.
Yeah.
Surprised it lasted all day.
I'm surprised I never noticed that. Okay. Well, hey. Okay. Right on.
There you go. Now you just got to go home and remember where it flew off.
I know.
You know, I don't even drink beer. This is good.
You don't like beer?
I never drink beer.
Why didn't you say that? I would have gotten like cider.
No, that's all right. It's good. No,
Booze?
It's good. I drink a lot of booze. Well, I don't drink a lot of booze. On a bar, man.
That's not it.
No, it's
Yeah, I
actually
drink
good,
a lot of booze. Dude, I thought you were a beer connoisseur.
Yeah,
I would've-
no.
would've-
I sell a lot of it, but I don't drink a whole bunch of it. Probably better. There's a lot of people I know that own bars shouldn't drink in their bar.
Yeah.
And they do.
And they do.
And they don't own the bar
And
anymore.
that's a problem.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So true.
One more beer. More beer. More Bach.
More beer.
Bach.
I'm kind of pissed I would have got you something.
No, don't worry about it.
Something delicious.
It's still pretty good. That's more beer than I've ever drank in my entire life, actually.
Really?
I'm so wasted. Yeah, I just don't drink it. It's good though. Maybe I'll start drinking it. Switching.
Yeah, it's blinking.
Oh, nice. See, there's.
Yep.